Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Sports Lab podcast, episode 41. I'm here with my good buddy Alex Miley. Alex, say hi. Birthday
What's
coming
up?
up in a week, so you
Yeah,
guys
it's
better
been
sub and like this video for Alex's birthday.
5 days exactly.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah,
So, with that
been a
being
while.
said, it's been a long time since we've done one of these episodes, but we're going to hop into a bunch of stuff here today. We're going to talk about the NHL Stanley Cup Finals between the Panthers and the Oilers, round two, if you will, of this, as this happened last year as well. And then we'll hop into the NBA Finals with the Thunder and the Pacers. We'll talk about the Desmond Bane and Rafael Devers trades in the NBA and MLB, respectively. And we'll go in a little bit of depth with the MLB teams, some disappointing teams from this season, the surprising team, and our teams, the Mets and Yankees. Big talk as well. So stay tuned for all of it as we hop right into it, Alex. The NHL Stanley Cup Finals right now. Game 6 is tomorrow night. The Florida Panthers took Game 5 in a pretty dominating win. They've been destroying them in the games they've won. The only game that's been close that the Panthers have won was a double OT victory off the stick of Sam Reinhart. So what do you think about this series right now? Do you think it goes the distance? Do you think the Oilers force Game 7? And do you think the Oilers can come back and win the series like they almost did last year? Or do the Panthers still have their number en route to their second straight championship?
I think the Oilers can do it, and I really want them to because just McDavid and Draisaitl, they're just so good, and the numbers McDavid has been putting up in his career rival only Mario Lemieux and Wayne Gretzky, and they were doing that in the offensive high scoring era when goalies sucked. I'm not saying I'm not diminishing them. Like Wayne Gretzky's the great one for a reason. He's the GOAT, and no doubt about it. And Lemieux, if he could have stayed healthy, could have was been the only one to rival him. But that's just crazy how good McDavid's been, where he's putting up numbers that only rival Lemieux and Lemieux and Gretzky, and it just so I just want him to win it really bad, but I just feel bad. Last year you had it 50% Draisaitl injured, and this year you have no Zach Hyman, and it's just like if only you could put it together where you could stay healthy for a whole series, or a whole playoff run. But that's part of it. You got to overcome that, and they haven't been able to so far. Their goalie play has been awful. I mean, that's really what their downside is they're not a strong defensive team, and their goalies suck. And so far, Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard haven't been able to stop anything. I think what Florida scored at least 4 goals in every game, maybe 3. Game
Except for
4
game
was it?
one. Game one, they had three.
Yeah, game 1, yeah.
4-3.
And then since then, they've scored 4+ goals in every game. That's for how good Florida is defensively and how good their goaltending is. That is not a recipe for success for Edmonton. I mean, yes, Draisaitl and McDavid are gonna get theirs, and they have been. They've both been great this series. They've both been over point per game. Draisaitl probably, if Edmonton wins this, Draisaitl wins. He probably ends up winning playoff
Constantly.
MVP anyways. Yeah, he probably wins the Conn Smythe anyways. They might give it to Marchand for the way he's been crazy in the Stanley Cup Finals, but the thing is, they give it for full playoffs, and Draisaitl's been the best player of these playoffs. So I think he probably wins it either way, like McDavid did last year. But he's been going crazy. McDavid's been doing his thing, and they still can't seem to get Florida's number. And it's if not this year, I mean, yeah, Florida's probably going to lose some of their pieces in this offseason, but they did last year, and then they just went retooled in the trade deadline. I mean, the Marchand trade, the Seth Jones trade, they've both been great trades. Bill Zito proving once again why he's the best GM in hockey. So I'm going to go with Florida winning it in 7. I don't see McDavid and Draisaitl going out without a fight. I think they end up getting the win tomorrow. But yeah, so I'll go Florida in 7 again like last year.
Yeah, I kind of want to bring up the goaltending aspect like you mentioned here. And so obviously we know that Stuart Skinner is not the greatest goaltender, and obviously starting in game number 5 didn't really do that great. And because of that, I want to mention one thing here, and this is the exact reason why I have Edmonton winning the series in 7 games. I understand that that's an interesting take. They're down by a game right now, but I'm willing to bet on Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl this time around. And I like Zach Hyman. Hyman's a great player, but I think he's more of a role player compared to the players of Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid on this
I
line.
can
So
believe.
obviously, you lost Leon Draisaitl last year. That's a big thing. And you were only 1 goal short of winning that Game 7. You lost 2-1 last year. I think this year having McDavid and Draisaitl is going to be the big difference maker. But the reason you get to Game 7 in the first place is Calvin Pickard is 7-0 in the playoffs this year. 7-0. You can take that for what you will.
Oh well, he lost. I think he lost game. No, I think he was. I think Pickard was in that for Game 5 because it was like they said it was always his first
he
loss.
played the back half of Game 4 when the Oilers made the comeback when they were down 3-0.
Oh, okay. I thought he stayed in for Game 5.
Stuart Skinner played Game 5 and they lost, I believe. And so because of that, Stuart Skinner this year in the playoffs, I crunched the numbers so you guys don't have to. I went back and looked at every series so far that the Oilers have played. If Stuart Skinner loses a game and then plays in the next one, he is 4-1 as of right now in the playoffs after a loss. And because of that, with a 4-1 record from him, 7-0 from Calvin Pickard, you pick whichever goal you pick here. I think that they take Game 6 and force that Game 7 with the offense as good as it's been. I think that they can get to Game 7. And then if they do get to Game 7, you got Draisaitl and McDavid, who in my opinion are the two best players in this series. I love Tkachuk. I love Sergei Bobrovsky. I love a bunch of other players on Florida.
They're probably the two best players in the world.
Two of the best players in the world. And because of that, I'm picking McDavid and Draisaitl, and it all are winner take all Game 7 this time around. They have home ice advantage this time as well. So go ahead and give me the EDM Oilers for the first time since 1993 to have a Canadian team win the Stanley Cup. I'd love to see
Boo Canada. Even though I want McDavid to win it, boo Canada.
Boo Canada, but yes, McDavid. Thankfully for that. But either way, I do think it's going to be a great series. It should be very fun to watch the ending of it. Game 6 tomorrow night starts at 8 p.m. Game 7, if we get there, would be 3 nights after tomorrow. So on Friday, we'll see what happens. The season ends this Friday, though. Very sad to say. But the offseason for people like us as Sabres fans is right around the corner. We'll have a full episode of Sabres and just in general offseason stuff that we'll be talking about very shortly as we kind of toss it over into the NBA realm of things, getting into the other finals that is currently going on. Game number 5 tonight between the Oklahoma City Thunder and the underdog Indiana Pacers, who have miraculously made it this far. And I'm a Knicks fan. I can say miraculously. I watched the whole Halliburton choke thing, watched the entire playoff run. And don't get me wrong, as a Knicks fan, I still love the Indiana Pacers. I think they're a great team, and Halliburton's one of the best players. I can't believe that he once played for Sacramento. It's the most random thing of all time. And it's just interesting, to say the least, what's happening with this team right now. The amount of comeback wins, the amount of just grit and determination from this team means so much to these players. And I think that one thing that's been overlooked over these past few years is the bench. And right now, in my opinion, out of these two teams, they're pretty much the two best teams in the league when it comes to players off the bench this year, in my opinion. And they're playing for the NBA title. They're tied at 2 right now. Game 5 is tonight at 8:30. So, Alex, who do you think takes Game 5? And does the winner of Game 5 also take the series? As 81.6% of the time, I had to look this up on Google. It's from ESPN, so I'll shout them out. 81.6% of the time in the NBA playoffs, if a team goes up 3-2 in the series, they win the series. Do you think it happens, and who do you think does it?
Yeah, first, before that, I just have a gripe with the schedule makers of the NBA and NHL. I just looked at the dates. Neither Game 7 is on Saturday, so neither of them get to be on my birthday. That's some BS. I would have loved to watch a Game 7, like, if it gets to that, but instead it's Friday and Sunday. Nah, that makes me mad. That's some BS. And literally, there's going to be games every day this week except for Wednesday. Like Thursday and Friday leading up, there'll be games. And then Sunday there could be a game, but not Saturday? Come on. Like, really got to do that to me? But anyways, back to the NBA. I said before the series started that Thunder in 6. And I still agree with that. I still think the Thunder win this series in 6. And I think that what Indiana's done is truly remarkable. I mean, you said it. Bench, they've made it this far because Halliburton's clutch, playoff Pascal Siakam, the playoff riser, and shut up. And they have probably the best bench in the NBA right now. You got Obi Toppin, TJ McConnell, Aaron Naismith. Like, these guys are all playing great levels. They're all performing. They're all stepping up to the moment. So, the one not Reed Shepherd. His last name Ben Shepherd got him as a lockdown defender. I mean, they just have so many guys that they can bring out where it's not like a big drop off when you see Halliburton and Siakam and Miles Turner come off the floor. For a lot of teams, it's like, all right, this is our chance to come back. If like the starters have big lead, you don't have that with Indiana. So all right, now you got T.J. McConnell, probably the best backup point guard in the league. Aaron Naismith, who can shoot the lights out of the gym. Obi Toppin can do the same thing and can dunk over anybody. And they're really able to hold down the fort till Halliburton and Siakam and Nembhard come back in and take the reins back over and keep control of the game. But at the end of the day, I just think Oklahoma City is just more talented. They have the best players in the series. Shea, you can make an argument that they have the second best player in the series in Chet or Jalen Williams. I think Halliburton's better than both of them. But then Jalen Williams and Chet are 3 and 4. Like Oklahoma City is 3 of the 4 best players, and they have a deep team.
Siakam, sure, but not now.
Like, I mean, Siakam's really good, but like Chet is one of the best paint protectors in the league. Jalen Williams was
inconsistent in the playoffs.
Jalen Williams
the regular
was an
season,
all-star. Yeah, Jalen Williams is like an all-star RNBA type guy. Like, I mean, I think it's close. I'm not saying they're a lot better than Siakam, but I think they're both a little bit better than him. And you have 3 of the top 4 plays in the series, 3 of the top 5 for sure. And then you're also almost as deep as them. I get the coaching aspect where Carlisle has done a phenomenal job coaching. Those late game scenarios has really helped this team get back into it. But at the end of the day, I think just the talent of OKC gets it done. And I
do think they have the coaching edge, but I do think that the player edge is more important.
Yeah, and the coaching edge is basically when talent's about equal, the better coach wins. Right. Or when the talent's very close. I don't think the talent is that close, which is just a testament to the job Rick Carlisle has done by able to get this team bought in and playing great team basketball. But I just think that Oklahoma City's talent it's just going to be too much. I think Indiana choking away Game 4 is kind of what sealed their fate. I think if they went up 3-1, I don't see the Thunder being able to win 3 straight games. I think that Indiana would be able to get one out and win it. But them choking that, the Thunder now have the momentum coming back home where they have 2 of the next 3 games. I just don't see the Pacers winning this series, unfortunately, because I would be awesome to see them win it. But yeah, I'm gonna continue with my take, Thunder in 6.
I had Thunder in 6 originally, but I'm gonna switch it to Thunder in 7. I'm begging for a Game 7 here.
And me too.
This series is oddly reminding me of the MLB's version of the Rangers and Diamondbacks when that happened a couple years ago. You got the young team,
except for much better,
in the Diamondbacks versus the Thunder, and then you also have the team that's got the really good superstar that carried them most of the way, Corey Seager and Tyrese Halliburton. And obviously you have guys like Adolis Garcia, the Bomb, of course, those kinds of things that are going to help you as well, like the Siakams of the world, and they had really good depth. And they ended up winning that. But it's different because that's baseball. It's a very different sport than basketball, obviously. But I do think that this series is going to go the distance. This is pretty much the most evenly matched playoff series I've seen in a really long time. And I do think that of all series this year in the postseason, this is by far going to be the best because we've had the close finishes in every single game to this point. I really like it. I think that it's been a very good series, and I think that Tyrese Halliburton's going to get them to Game 7, especially when they go back home for Game 6. I can't see them losing Game 6 at their own home, losing the NBA playoffs. I think they've only lost twice this entire postseason at home, and that was to the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals once, and then also in the finals in I believe it was Game 1 or 2. No, 3 or 4, sorry. 4, because they lost 111 to 104. So they've only lost like twice at home in the entire playoff. I think
it was to the Thunder. They lost game 4 at home.
Yeah, they've only lost twice to the Knicks too. They lost
Game
once.
5 Game 5 to the Knicks and Game 4 to the Thunder.
Not Game 5 to the Knicks. We had home court advantage for that. We won Game 4 because we were down 3-1.
Yep, you're right.
But either way, though, I do think that it's going to be an interesting final.
No, it was Game 3. It was Game 3 when you're down. You're down 2-0. Yep.
Yeah, you're right. But either way, though, I do think that it's going to be a great series. I think Halliburton's going to keep it close. Game 7 is going to be back and forth, but I have to go with Shea. In those kinds of situations, it's not about the superstars. I think that Halliburton and Shea can be right there 1 and 2 for this series. They're really, really close. You can argue whichever way you want to argue for those two guys when it comes down to that situation. in Game 7 of the NBA Finals. I do think it's going to be very close, but you have to rely on the role players. And who do you trust more, Chet Holmgren or Andrew Nembhard? At that point, or Siakam or Jalen Williams. And in my opinion, I'm going to lean with the opposite side of what most people think. I think that the Shai Gilgeous-Alexander-led Thunder are going to get this one done in the NBA Finals and advance to champions for the first time, I think, ever, right?
Yeah.
Because Supersonics were the team that won it in, I believe, 1979. You can fact check me if you want. But the Seattle Supersonics won. Neither of these teams have ever won an NBA championship, and that's why it feels so great. And that's exactly why I mentioned it reminds me of that Diamondbacks Rangers thing, where it just – you got the guy who used to play for a West Coast team. He now left or whatever. Seager from the Dodgers to the Rangers, and then Halliburton from Sacramento now to Indiana. And then they're just going nuts, taking their team all the way through the playoffs, and here we are. But I'm excited to see what happens in this series. I think that we've pretty much gotten an absolute banger for both the NHL and the NBA for the finals. As
for sure.
Super Bowl.
Even though everyone was saying, oh, this is going to be terrible, and it wasn't. I knew both series were going to be good, and so many people were shit talking it. I'm like,
well, I'm just mad because the Knicks could have been here. That sucks, obviously. But as a Knicks fan, to lose to anybody in the conference, as long as it's not Boston, no offense, just because they won.
I get it.
It'd be annoying to watch the same team win. And then the other team I can't stand in the East for whatever reason is the Cleveland Cavaliers. I can't stand them. So
that's weird.
And it's just as a Knicks fan, man, I don't know why. Can't stand Cleveland.
That is weird.
But
Cleveland, this is for you.
Yeah, right. We'll see what happens.
Greatest NBA Finals of my lifetime, 100%.
Oh yeah, 2016.
Nothing will beat that feeling. When I was like 11 or 12, stayed up a little late on a school night because it was on a Sunday on Father's Day on my little TV watching Game 7 of the NBA Finals.
That was nuts.
That was so great. Absolute cinema for sure.
Moving into the other aspect of this NBA segment would be of course, the trade that happened with Desmond Bane from the Memphis Grizzlies. He's going to the Orlando Magic. Anyway, Memphis is going to give up Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, Cole Anthony, and 4 unprotected first-round picks. One is this year's pick, which is 16th overall. One is next year's 2026 pick, which can be swapped for the best pick overall out of the Wizards.
That's for the pick swap is.
Their pick. And then there is a 28 and 2030 pick, 2028 and 2030 first-round picks that they are also getting, and it's a 2029 pick swap, and the Grizzlies will get to choose whichever one is the better one of the two for that. So hopefully that clears up all the confusion for everybody. Although, Alex, I'm going to toss it over to you. Who do you think won this trade? And give me your trade grade for each of these two teams and break it down for me.
Okay, so I'll go with the grades first. For the Magic, I give it a B+, and for the Grizzlies, I give it an A-. So I'll start with the Magic. If you're looking at this at face value, be like, why did Desmond Bane get 4 first-round picks and a pick swap? You also have to add in the fact that they got off Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's contract, who I just looked over the numbers real quick because he had a bad year. He's 32 years old, just signed a 23-year, $66 million. He's making $22 million a year. He's past his prime. He's averaged 8.7, 2.2, and 1.8 last year, shooting 44% from the field. He was bad last year. He was brought in to be a 3-and-D great role player that he was for the Nuggets and the Lakers when they won their championships. He is just not that anymore. So not only were they able to get someone like Desmond Bane, who's a lot better, they were able to get out of that contract. So that's probably, if they didn't give up KCP, I bet you they probably gave up only like 3 firsts. I bet you at least one of those firsts they gave up was to get off that contract. So I think good job by them there. And also, I think people aren't realizing if you're looking at Desmond Bane just as a player, but you also have to look at it as a fit. And he might be the perfect fit that the Magic could have got at a realistic price. Obviously, they could have got like a superstar. They could have there's like NBA 2K trades they could have made, but at a realistic for a team that's willing to trade someone for someone who fits what they needed, perfect fit. Fit is A+. What did they need? They needed shooting badly. They shot like 4% lower than the NBA average this year from three, which is like the worst a team has shot below average in the last like decade. They were historically bad shooting the ball from three this year, like compared to the rest of the league. It was awful. And last year, when they were healthy, the first, 10, 15 games, they were the 2 seed. You had Paolo Banchero, who was all NBA just 2 years ago. Franz Wagner took a step. Jalen Suggs took a step. He's still a little inefficient offensively, but averaged 16 a game with elite defense. So now you have your four best players all being plus defenders in Suggs, Bane, Franz, and Paolo Banchero, and all of them being 15 plus points per game guys. Suggs, I think, on this team maybe about 15. Desmond Bane is probably their best ball handler. He's an underrated passer. He's a great shooter, and he can get you 18 to 20 a game. And then you have Franz and Banchero, who, again, this team is still very young to take that step. I think they are instantly a top 5 team in the East. They can contend as early as next year with that trade. So these first, maybe that Wizards one next year kind of looks like that could be pretty valuable. But outside of that, I don't expect any of the other picks they give up to be lottery picks. And it's not like they're an old team going all in and they're in a, like when the Suns traded for KD, you knew that down the road could be potentially really bad. This team is super young, so them going all in now at the beginning of their timeline, by the time they get through all of those first round picks, they should still be a contending team because they're that young. Or if it fails, you trade some of these players and you get those picks back, just like the Rockets did with the James Harden trade. They were able to get some of those picks back, or the Nets did for the Nets did for the Harden trade when they trade away Mikal Bridges. There's stuff like that. It's not like they're a bunch of players that are around 30 that are going to fall off in a couple of years. So I think the timeline fits, the scheme fits absolutely perfect. And then Bane as a player is a pretty decent player. The reason I can't give it an A is because giving up that many first and having that Wizards swap in there for next year with how bad they're probably going to be, it's a little risky. If they don't at least make if they don't at least make a conference finals within 2 or 3 years, this trade's probably going to be seen as a failure, because that is a trade you make to kind of go all in and take that next step from a first, second round contender to an actual contender in the East. And then on Memphis' side, you knew this core of Jaren Jackson Jr., Desmond Bane being your top 3 was not going to go anywhere. Like, that just wasn't good enough. They're a first-round exit level team. Maybe if Ja stays healthy, they give more of a fight to OKC in the first round. But either way, you could tell the writing was on the wall. So then you're able to go and trade and get that many picks. Now you have 2 different directions you can go in. You can either completely blow it up, start from scratch, and hopefully by the time you're good again, some of these top-level contenders in the West start to slow down. I mean, the West's been good for so long that probably doesn't happen, but you can go that way. Or you have all these picks, you can go and retool the roster. You can go and get players to fit Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. if you believe that those are pieces that you can go and win with. And I think it's a great way to start either a retool or a rebuild. It'll be interesting to see which way they go. And I think getting that many picks for a player like Bane, who's a good player and he makes a lot of sense in Orlando, but he is, I mean, that is a lot to give up. Then Cole Anthony could be a decent backup point guard, and then KCP, you just take on the contract because you can. Maybe you go salary dump him to a really bad team, like maybe like the Jazz or the Wizards or some of the crap team like that, the Hornets, something like that, and you can get off that contract and you have more money to work with. So it'll definitely be interesting to see what the Grizzlies do coming from here, but that is definitely a very good first step.
Yeah, I think that this is an interesting trade for me. And so I'll get into my grades here in a second, but I'm going to start individually. So I'm going to start off with the Orlando Magic. I give them a B. And the reason I give them a B is because you're doing a lot here. You're trading a lot of picks. And this is a win-now move, right? Obviously. But I feel like they don't move the needle enough with this trade. I like Desmond Bane. He's a good player, but he's not anyone that's going to win you a game come playoff time. If you're taking on Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers, is it going to be Halliburton or Desmond Bane that steps up in that game 6, game 7?
Paolo Banchero would be the one that steps up.
But that's the problem, though, is Banchero showed last year in the playoffs against Cleveland that he couldn't do it. So Desmond Bane's going to have to be that guy, too, at some point. And so not only just that, though, but you said they're a top 5 team in the East, and I don't see that. I think at best you're 6 because the Pistons are only going to get better. The
I think
Celtics are
Orlando's
still going to
better.
be good. You
Not
got
next
the
year.
Celtics.
I
Well,
think
you're not going to
Orlando,
have
right?
Tatum, but that doesn't
I think-
mean anything. When it comes to playoff time, if the Celtics get in, then the Celtics are going to be good.
But
Knicks are better.
I kind
The
of want to
Knicks
see
are
what the
better
Celtics
right now.
do.
The
It's close,
the
but I'll give you that.
Pacers are better.
Give you the Pacers.
And then number 5 is the Cleveland Cavaliers, who
Yeah,
are
see,
first
I
in the
ju- I
entire
just think-
conference. So
I
at
think they're
best,
better
you're
than the Pistons.
6. And if you get 6, that means you're playing one of the top 3 teams in the conference, which is either Cleveland again, who you lost to last year in the playoffs. You're playing either Tyrese
They're a lot better
Halliburton
team right
and
now.
the Pacers, who just made the NBA Finals this year. You might play the Celtics, depending on how good the Celtics are, depending on how you guys are. Let's say you get the 4 seed and the Celtics get the 5. That's a terrible first-round matchup because now you're playing a team that has a championship mentality with Mensa and that entire coaching staff and then the players with Tatum coming back shortly after that, I'd assume. So you're playing a pretty bad team. And then with the Knicks, I think it's going to be a close series if it did happen, but I think the Knicks would take that series because of the clutch factor from a guy like Jalen Brunson. And because of those things, at best, you win 1, maybe 2 series. If you get really lucky, you could win 2 series and you can make it to the conference finals. But making it to the NBA Finals itself is going to be an absolute challenge before you have to play one of the teams from the West, insert team here kind of deal, with whichever one of the teams you want to put from the West that could possibly make it. You're not beating any of them. You're not beating OKC. You're not going to beat Denver. I just don't know who else. Like maybe Minnesota, but because of the lack of experience with a team like Minnesota, but I even think that Minnesota's a better team. And because of this, I do think that Orlando's a good team. And I think that this definitely makes them better, obviously, duh. And getting off KCP's contract is why I saved this from a C, because I really don't like this trade. I just don't think that Desmond Bane's going to move that needle enough for him. He's a good scorer, but the thing is, if you look at the rest of the team, nobody else on the team is a pure shutdown scorer. Nobody else on the team is an absolute shooter. And because yeah, nobody's a shooter other than Desmond Bane. And putting that kind of pressure on him is exactly what happened to Cole Anthony, who they sent in this trade and sucked. Cole Anthony sucked because they put too much pressure on him. Nobody else could score except for Cole Anthony. And then if Cole Anthony didn't give him enough points to win a game, Cole Anthony was flamed like crazy. And now here he is getting traded. And
Bane's a lot better than Anthony, but I get your point.
Well, yeah, but that's what I'm saying, though, is eventually it's going to get to you. Especially come playoff time when the Orlando Magic fans probably had enough of this fucking rebuild, and they're going to get pissed because in Game 6 he's going to drop like 16 points and they're going to lose.
My thought is they had to make a move because they are starting to get in that win now. What other?
I understand they had to make a move. I just don't think that Bane's the right one. If you really wanted to go out and
would have been available?
Dude, I don't know. I think that this offseason is going to be a really good offseason for a lot of teams to go and trade. I think a team like the Hawks could maybe blow up. You can maybe go and get Trae Young for a similar package. You might have to give up a little bit more, but I do think that Trae Young could be an available
Bane's a better fit, though.
It looks like
they don't need a point guard.
It looks like the Suns are kind of, fizzling out. Maybe they're willing to trade D-Book, And
Bane's a much better shooter. But Bane's a better shooter than D-Book.
But D-Book is more clutch, and D-Book can do a lot more.
D-Book is better. I'm not disagreeing.
But I like Bane. I like what he brings. You
also
systematically
to get D-Book, you're having to trade either Franz or Suggs, which I get. You're getting.
I'd be cool with trading Suggs,
but then you don't have a point guard, and your defense goes down a lot.
They still don't have a point guard.
Jalen Suggs.
Well, I know, but I'm saying my point is Jalen Suggs is still young. He's still developing. You never know what he'll become.
He did just take a big step though last year. He
did, but we've seen it happen
before. He's an all defensive guy. And
exactly, but as a point guard, I hate that. As all defense, when you're a point guard, your whole job's pass, shoot, those kinds of things.
Defense
is still important.
He guards opponents' best.
The best guards are
a lot of times the best
that can do all of them. And so, just overall for me personally, I think this is a great trade for the Grizzlies, and it's a decent trade for the Magic. I'm going to go into Memphis real quick because I love this from Memphis' point of view. I give it an A, not an A+, not an A-, A. And here's why. The Grizzlies are trading Desmond Bane for 4 first-round picks that are unprotected, including 2 of which that are guaranteed to be very good, and then 1 that could also be very good. The first 2, obviously, the Wizards pick next year. Duh, no shit. And then the one this year is still 16th overall, which is not that bad. It's okay. And if you look at And if you look back down the line a little bit, 2030, when you get that pick in 2030, Desmond Bane's contract ends after the 28-29 season. The 2029 pick that you would get in the trade is a pick swap, and the Magic get to choose whichever one they want more. So obviously the Magic are going to pick the higher pick. But in 2030, the Magic don't get that luxury. So obviously it's a long time down the road, but you have that pick. And also because of that, because teams might know that, you can use that as a leverage standpoint to maybe go and trade it to get up in the draft in a different draft. Like maybe this year they wanted to move up in the draft and get a guy. They could do that. And my favorite part about this trade is you're trading Desmond Bane, right? But you still have Jaren Jackson and John Morant, right? And here's the thing. That Wizards pick could very well be the player that's going to be the replacement for Desmond Bane, and you're right back where you were before. You can get a plethora of really good guys next year's class. And I mean, hell, let's say you don't get lucky in the lottery and you still only get like 10. You can trade the other picks that you got later down the line, the 28, the 2031, if you really want to go back all in. I don't think this is a give it all up thing for the Grizzlies. I think this is a retool. And the best part is you get that year before that Wizards pick. So this year they can put Cole Anthony at shooting guard if they want to and let him be that role player instead of having to go out there and drop 30 points a night to win games for the Magic. He can be that consistent role player that alongside John Morant that doesn't have to do too much. And maybe he develops into an actually good, decent basketball player this time instead of it being thrown into the fire and treated like a piece of meat. I think that's a great chance for him. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, that was his first bad year in 4 seasons. I understand he's getting older. Maybe it's the beginning sign of regression, or maybe it's just one bad year. You never know. And because of that, you put him as his backup point guard to John Morant. Understand that's gross to say considering his contract, but putting him as a backup point guard to a John Morant, that's not a bad fit at all on the team like that. Or let's say Cole Anthony struggles. You can put KCP into the starting lineup if you desperately have to. But that's the thing. You have so many different moving pieces here for the Grizzlies. You can have Cole Anthony develop into something elite, or if he's not that great, you can just not let him don't re-sign him next year, and then draft his replacement in the draft with the Wizards pick. And if he does develop, you can draft somebody else with the Wizards pick to round out your starting 5. And then you still have a guy like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope on your bench, and you can get other guys through free agency and the draft as well to be your other bench players and make the team better in the long run. I like Desmond Bane as a player, but overall in the NBA, you don't need one guy to succeed, especially when it's not even the best guy on your fucking team. John Morant is, and Jaren Jackson's even number 2. Desmond Bane's the 3rd best player on that team, in my opinion. And because of that,
I agree.
And because of that,
he's the 3rd best player in the Magic now, too.
You're trading him for 4 first-round picks, a pick swap, so 5 technically first-round picks, a decent player in Cole Anthony who can still develop, has time, and you can be patient with because you don't have a pick this year to replace him immediately, and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope who can still be a decent depth player. I really don't know where they went wrong in this trade. I think you did everything you had to do. You checked all your boxes. You made sure this trade made sense for you guys. And yeah, sure, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope's $23 million is a little bit much. But considering you got 5 first-round picks, I don't think they're going to give a fuck. And because of that, I really love this trade from Memphis' point of view. I'm giving it an A. I think that their GM saw right through what the Magic wanted, saw the desperation from the Magic to try and get better in a pretty weak conference in the East right now, and they took it to their advantage and made the most of it. And I think that's going to make them better in the long run. So give me the Grizzlies as an A and give me Orlando as a B.
Here, I just want to pull this up from the Magic series against the Celtics. Paolo Banchero averaged 29. Franz Wagner averaged 26. Want to know who their third lead? Guess. Jalen Suggs is injured. He was out for the year. Guess who their third leading scorer was, and how many points he averaged?
Cole Anthony.
Nope. Cole averaged 2.2 points. Just guess who it was. You're probably not going to be able to.
Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
Nope.
No idea.
Wendell Carter Jr. at 10 points a game. That was the 3rd highest score in the playoffs this past year. That's where I'm saying how good. That's why I think Bane is that good of a fit because he's someone who can
Bane fits well. Don't get me wrong. I think Bane fits well. I just think that they saw the fit of Bane, right? They saw the fit of what Bane is for them, and then they also saw just the overall weakness of our conference, of the Eastern Conference right now. Legitimately, you're not going to get any arguments from me if you put the Magic at number 6 in the conference, and that's because I think there's 5 teams better. I think the Bucks are okay. The Bucks could be good, but you never know with the Giannis situation. They might trade him. But I think that I'd still put the Magic over the Bucks right now, just because of this. But I do think that teams like Miami, teams like Atlanta, I think you're better than them by a lot. Chicago, Washington, all those. You want
my thought is, one, they have uber potential. Like Paulo Banchero has potential to become a top 10 player in the NBA. If he does that, you're talking about this team a lot differently if he takes that next step.
Franz Walker, but that's not about Desmond Bane at all, though.
No, but I'm saying, like,
that's why
Paulo
we're bringing it just off the trade itself.
What I'm saying, though, like, if Paulo has that potential, Franz has the potential to be an All-NBA guy. If they both take that step and Desmond Bane stays what he is, they could be a top 3 team in the conference next year. They have the potential to be. That's why you don't think that they're a contender to make it out of the East. I do.
I don't,
because I think that Paulo and Franz have that potential, and you just needed that third guy to complete it, with Suggs being your 4. And I mean, you saw how, like, they just, especially when Suggs went down, it was just all the pressure was on Paulo and Franz to do everything. They had no one else who could score. And I think you add someone like Bane who takes a little bit of pressure up, you get Suggs back. Like, I think they're better than Detroit. Yeah, I think Cade's probably would be the best. Like, in that series, Cade would be the best player, but not by a lot over Paulo. I think Paulo's that good. And then I think Franz and Bane are both better than anyone else in Detroit. Like, I think you have 3 of the top 4 players in that series.
I think Franz and Cade are pretty close, though.
Franz and who?
And Cade.
Well, no, I'm saying Cade is the best player in the series. Like, Cade 1, I'd go Cade, and like against Detroit, Cade would be 1. Then it would be Paulo 2, Franz 3,
Cade,
Bane.
Paulo, Franz.
Then Bane's 4.
Bane 4, and then Jaren 5. Duren.
I would even make an argument for Suggs to be 5, but I'll probably put Duren 5, Suggs 6. Like, I mean, it depends on.
But
I mean, the Pistons have plenty of times we move, and also
that's a big deal.
Orlando has time to improve their depth. I mean, their depth isn't great right now, but they're also a pretty young team. Like, and who knows? Maybe Cleveland's run this year could have been a flash in the pan, and they don't look as good next year. Or
most teams are those picks, dude.
Or in Indiana, who knows? Maybe they could take it. They could regress. Like, yes, they've looked really good these last 2 postseasons.
I'm being honest. Indiana definitely could regress, and I agree.
The Knicks could without Tibbs. I mean, I don't think Tibbs is a great coach, but like
we're not definitely regress without Tibbs. That we're gonna actually probably flourish without Tibbs. If I'm being honest with you.
Well, I think your defense gets a little bit worse. It just depends on who you bring in. Because Tibbs is great defensively. It's just offensive game plan wasn't.
I don't know, man. With the way he ran his scheme, Towns kept getting cooked, brother. Like, I hated it.
Well, that is true.
If I'm just looking at this trade, though, like if I'm not looking at the potential of the other players in this trade, if I'm just looking at the trade itself right now. You're trading for the third best player on the Grizzlies, who weren't even that great last year, but still, I like Bane. And I think that Bane's okay. But you're trading him for 5 first-round picks. Overall, it's 5 first-round picks. That's crazy.
Mikal won for 5 last year, and I think Bane's, at this point, better player than Mikal.
I agree, but the thing is...
So I think that's just kind of where the value is probably set. I think
the difference is, though,
the value set. The Magic had to make a move. The Magic couldn't sit on their hands,
right?
With
but the
way the team was last year.
If you look at the Knicks trade, those 5 first-round picks are all going to be late first-round picks. With the Magic, I could see the first 2 or 3 years of those picks not being that great. And also the difference is those
outside
5 first-round picks.
I think all of them are going to be late.
But the thing is, though, is I think that if you look at the 5 picks that the Magic are giving up versus the Knicks. We didn't give up 16 or the Wizards' first-round pick either. The Wizards' pick's going to be at least top 10. And because of that, I think that between those 2 picks alone, this trade would have been worth it. And then obviously the contract of Kentavious Caldwell-Pope might be why they got another first-round pick with a pick swap or whatever.
The Wizards pick swap is top 8 protected.
Top 8 protected?
Yes.
But that means that they're going to get the Wizards pick in 27, though.
I don't know what it becomes.
If the rule with the draft lottery is if a team protects their pick for whatever pick, let's say it's the top 5.
Not necessarily.
If it's 5 through 1, then you can't protect multiple years in a row. Not in the NBA.
I've seen it happen before. I've seen it where it goes from top 15 to top 10 to like stuff like that, and to the point where like if it doesn't meet those, it just like vanishes. Like the Hornets. they gave away a pick, but they had it protected for 2 straight years and then missing the playoffs. And then if they missed the playoffs to get both those picks, and they gave up nothing. Like, it was, you only get it if they're a playoff team one of these 2 years, and then if they aren't, then you just get nothing, or you get like a second or something like that.
But still, though, that Wizards pick is going to be a good pick regardless of when they get it, And I really like this trade for the Grizzlies, though. I think that this trade made so much sense for them and what they're trying to build. And they're looking at these teams like the Thunder and the Pacers right now, the 2 teams left that are actually balling, the 2 teams left that are playing, and they're seeing how important depth is. And then they go out and get a guy like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. They go out and get a Cole Anthony to be backups. And, like, Cole Anthony as a backup's better than I would say a lot of people for backup-wise. I think he can be a good backup shooting guard, especially with the change now, with like the change of scenery that he really needed badly too. So I really like.
Holy shit! The amount of protections I'm trying to read like this pick, and I don't know if you can see my phone. You see that like whole paragraph? That's all the protections like between all the teams that can get this pick. It's a whole mess.
Jeez. Anyway, though. I gave Memphis an A, Orlando a B. You gave them a B plus and an A minus.
So if it's not, if it is top 8, then the commitment to Washington will be lifted, and Orlando, now Memphis, will have the right to swap its pick for the Phoenix pick. So actually, it's if Washington's top 8, then it's just Phoenix's pick.
Oh, that's fine.
Which I mean, Phoenix could be bad. I bet Phoenix.
Especially since they might be trading KD.
No, Phoenix could definitely not be that good next year either. But I don't think they'll be Wizards level bad. But again, I just wanted to read that because I just wanted.
But you can still use that pick and then trade it as well. You can use that pick and then trade it.
No,
30 pick and move up.
They could. There's multiple different ways that like.
See, but that's the thing with these kinds of swaps. I understand Bane's okay.
Like if you look at this trade at just pure value, you take nothing else. Yeah, I think Orlando might have overpaid a little bit, and Memphis definitely got the better. Yeah, Orlando overpaid a little bit, and Memphis got better value. But when I look at trades, I don't look at it just face value. I like to try and put the context behind it, how fit.
No, I do too.
The direction of the team going,
I did that with Caldwell Pope and stuff.
No, and I think that's just where we differ is the direction of the team, how good we think the team. I think the team is top 4 or 5 in the East. You think the team is top 6 at best, and I think the team has potential to be a top 3 upper echelon contender. While you don't, and that's just where because again, me thinking Paolo. Because I don't think Bane's going to be any better. I think what Bane is right now is I think he's reached his peak. I just don't think Paolo and Franz have reached their peak. So I'm saying if they reach their peaks with what you added from Bane, it takes that team to the next level.
Right. And my thing is I don't necessarily I obviously look like how you're doing, where you look into the future and see what these teams could be like soon, those kinds of things. But yours just has huge ifs, and mine doesn't.
It's extremely risky, and that's why I didn't give Orlando.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
why I'm saying because of the huge ifs you have of if Banchero becomes a top 10 player in the league. Like there's 10 players right now I can think of off the top of my head better than Banchero.
Oh, I agree right now. No,
I can probably stay. Like the only guys I think
the upside,
like Brunson's in the top 10. You got Halliburton, Jokic. Shea, Tatum, Donovan Mitchell. I picked Mitchell over him right now.
Donovan Mitchell,
Cade. West Curry,
Luka,
LeBron.
Still probably LeBron, but LeBron and Curry not for much longer. Yeah,
but still 11 guys already.
That's right there, and we're probably forgetting some big name and Embiid if he could ever be healthy. Anthony Davis, but some of these guys are getting I'm just saying
two potentially in a couple years could take
same
over
with
where LeBron is,
But some of these guys in 2 to 3 years, maybe they're not in their prime anymore. Banchero takes a step, but I get the ifs, and that's why I didn't give Orlando an A.
Yeah, but that's the thing though is you got to wait a couple years before those guys are gone, and then you can say he's a top 10 guy. So at best, you're getting 2 years of that window, and you're still going to have teams like Tatum and the Celtics. You're still going to have the Brunson-led Knicks. You're probably still going to have Cade Cunningham and the Pistons. You're going to have the Cavs, the Pacers still to worry about too. And I think you can take your pick on whether the Pacers or the Magic are better in the regular season, because I think the Pacers just kind of overperformed in the playoffs. That's what they've been doing. They're not that great of a regular season team. But I don't think seeding matters too much in this, as much as a lot of people might think. But I do think that the Magic did get good enough value. They got a good systematic fit, and it makes a lot of sense for what they're trying to build. It's just, if you look at what you have to worry about long term,
it's risky. It's very
risky. And if you look at it from the Grizzlies' perspective, you can clearly tell that they took advantage of that. They took advantage hardcore on this.
The Nets with the McHale trade. No, I get it. I definitely think
you want him? You want him? Here, come get him. Come get him.
I definitely think the Grizzlies won the trade. I'm just saying, for a lot of people, the Magic got fleeced 4 first-round picks.
No, I don't think they got fleeced either.
And that's where
I give them a B. I give them a B.
No, I'm just saying, I've seen a lot of people on social media say that, and I'm like, you gotta look at the big picture. You can never take a trade at face value, because there's so many more factors going in. I'm not even necessarily directing this at you. I'm just saying it's a blanketed statement.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I agree 110%. But after that long, drawn-out trade, I guess we have another one to get into.
I think we can agree with this. We can agree on this one a little bit more.
Yeah, we can bring our buddy Caleb on for this one, who would probably.
I called him. I didn't even say anything. I just started laughing.
That's so messed up. We have the Rafael Devers trade in the MLB as we shift our focus to our final segment.
If you're very active on Twitter, you could tell he is not a happy man. He is very upset. It's awesome. Because he added me on Twitter right when the Red Sox swept the Yankees. He at Twitter, and it says it's a sweep. So then I added him back when the trade dropped. Oh, he's not very happy.
No. Giants are trading for Rafael Devers, and the Red Sox are going to be getting left-handed pitcher Kyle Harrison, right-handed reliever Jordan Hicks. You're going to be getting an outfield prospect from last year's draft out of Florida State in James Tibbs. You're going to be getting a minor league pitcher, the right-handed pitcher, and Jose Bello as well. That's the trade. That's everything involved in this trade. I understand that they have a lot of needs with pitching, but that's fucking brutal, dude. And so my only thing here before I give it over to you is
Red Sox and poverty.
Expect this to happen a lot in sports, where teams just kind of lose leverage based off the players' unhappiness, and that's exactly what happened in this trade. They lost out on so much leverage with this trade. They had to get rid of him. They literally had to trade him. He was not going to play. He didn't want to, especially considering they're just kind of forcing him to play wherever. And because of that, I think that for Devers, this was the only outcome, was a trade. Although I do think it's a little bit ironic that he wants to go back to third base and they trade him to a team that's got Matt Chapman over at third. Maybe Chapman moves over to first.
No, you're not moving Gold Glove, Platinum Glove level Matt Chapman.
Yeah, right.
For what's the for trash level glove Rafael Devers? The only reason Rafael Devers was a fielder as long as he has is because he's a good hitter. If he wasn't this good of a hitter, they would have moved him to DH a long time ago. But they just wanted to keep him happy because he could hit the base. He's statistically the worst third baseman in a long time. Baseball, it's bad. It's really, really bad.
Either way, though, I do think that this was a pretty interesting trade, to say the least. I'll send it over to you for your trade grades, your picks for this trade entirely. Break it down a little bit, and I'll do mine, and then we'll get into our final little bit with a deep dive on the MLB as a whole.
So for the Giants, easy A. You saw an advantage. You saw a way to make an advantage. Your team is right now contending to win the division over the Dodgers. I don't think you will, but you are a contending team right now. Your pitching staff behind Robbie Ray and Logan Webb has been amazing, and your offense has been very, very good. Wilmer Flores, Matt Chapman, even your big signing Willy Adames has been extremely underwhelming. I don't expect that to stay the whole year. I feel like he'll heat up at some point, but Buster Posey, since taking over as the GM, he wants to make big moves. He wants to win, and the owner is ready. Will be willing to pay, and that's where it's contracts don't matter as much in baseball because there is no salary cap, which is absolutely stupid. That's an argument for another time. But as there's currently no salary cap, go and spend all the money you can. You might as well if it's available to you. So I get why you go make this trade, and you really get that bat that kind of takes you over the level. They have a couple of pretty good hitters, but they don't have any feared hitters. Rafael Devers is a feared hitter. He is a top 10, just pure hitter, not player, top 10
Ask
hitter
the
in baseball.
Yankees.
Yeah, ask Garrett Cole is probably the happiest man on earth right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
ask the Yankees how. Yeah, this dude absolutely mashes. He's a Yankee killer, so I love to see him out of the division. But yeah, I mean, and you gave up a starting pitcher. Yes, he's 23, but has a career 4.5 ERA. A relief pitcher who has a career 4.2 ERA, and his ERA this year is 6.5. They're not the Giants' number 4 prospect, who I think is already like 21 or 22 years old and is still in single A, and he's putting up mediocre numbers. Yeah, he was their first round pick last year, their number 4 overall prospect. He's got some potential, but he's an outfielder, and the Red Sox are already loaded at outfield, so it's probably
I think
someone you
he's
end up
just a
trading.
flip guy. Yeah.
Yeah, probably just end up trading him, and you're not going to get nearly as good value for him. And then another that I think what the other prospect they got was a pitcher who is, I think he's like 23 and he's struggling in whatever minor league system. He's like
Yeah,
like two
he's in
mid-ish prospects.
Bellows.
Like when I called Caleb and before the prospects had been announced, we're like trying to think who is it, and I'm looking at the Giants. The Giants had one guy in the top 100. I'm thinking, oh, maybe because they didn't get a lot of big league, they got I think his name's Bryce Eldridge, this dude for the Giants who's absolutely he's got 70 hit grade, which is absolutely unheard of. Like he's like the number 19th ranked prospect in all baseball right now, and is expected to come up next year. This first baseman who just hits the crap out of baseball. And I'm like, oh, maybe they gave up him. That kind of makes a lot of sense. The fact they didn't even give up any of their top 3 prospects, like, and Eldridge was the only one in the top 100, so it's not like their number 2 or 3 were like amazing by any means either. And I think that I've heard reports that they shopped him around and that was the best deal they get. I've also heard reports that they only contacted the Giants. Either way, I just find it hard to believe that that was the best deal you could get. And yeah, the communication went sour, but I think you got to partly put that on the Red Sox. I get you bring in Bregman and you're like, all right, Devers, you're going to DH whether you like it or not. We're paying you all this money. You're too bad of a fielder. But then Devers struggled to start the year really bad, making that adjustment from being a fielder to just a DH, because people don't understand. You're kind of cold when you go up to the plate. Like as a fielder, you're in the action like when your team's on the field because you have to be ready. You're moving around. When you're DH, you're just sitting on the. You are in action for 4 at bats a game unless you get on base, and then you're like running a little. Like you're pretty cold. You're not as warmed up, so it's an adjustment to make. Giancarlo Stanton went through the same thing. He struggled right when he came to New York, and they had him as the DH. He never fully found what he was in Miami, but he got better. He got more used to the DH role. And then a couple years ago, because of injury, they moved him back out to outfield, and he was actually hitting the ball better. Like it's definitely an adjustment. So then they move him to DH, and then Casas is injured, and they're like, "Oh, go play first now." And he's like, "Well, hold up! You made me move off third because you thought I was too bad of a fielder, but now you want me to go and play a position I've never played before, and I'm not comfortable." Like I get, oh, we're paying you over $300 million. Do what you need for the team to win. But I do get Devers' side of like, oh, you just said I wasn't good enough to play third, and I have to make
good enough to play first.
But now I'm good enough to play first, a position I've never played before, and I'm not very comfortable. Like that's just terrible management by the Red Sox. Like I also get why the Red Sox are annoyed. Like, come on, we're paying you all this money, do this for the team. But I just don't. They handled that situation poorly, and this is the result they're going to get. They're basically trading away their modern day David Ortiz. This dude is decent chance goes down as a first ballot Hall of Famer as he continues this. I get once you moved him to DH and him being like DH is making that much money is not good value, but it doesn't matter the value if you're willing to pay whatever it is, like the Dodgers. Like if you're willing to just pay the money, it doesn't really matter what the contract value is if you have a rich enough owner with no salary cap. So yeah, I mean, I could see the salary cap, like the CBA agreement in 2026. I've heard after next year that a lockout is like impeding, like it's most likely going to happen because apparently the owners are pushing heavily for a salary cap, which I really hope for. And I hope they also push for a salary for, but players obviously don't want that because salary cap means they make less money. So that'll definitely be an issue, but that's a conversation for another time. But yeah, for this trade, for the Giants and D- for the Red Sox. The only reason I'm not going to give him an F is because you had to trade him and they kind of loses some leverage. Just the clubhouse issues, you couldn't really hold on to him. But off of value, and also you're getting a downgraded for the fact that you contributed to this whole issue yourself by bad communication and bad management.
Yeah, I really feel very similar on this trade as you do. I think that the Giants are a very good team. I think that Matt Chapman being at third, he's going to be DH more than likely. So I don't see it working out for him. I just think that it'll be bad. He's in the middle of his second year of a 10-year contract extension as well. So that's obviously not exactly the greatest news to hear if you're a Giants fan, considering he's going to probably
Stanton got a hit.
And if you're looking at all these things, though, like the prospect you got, James Tibbs, he's not going to be that great. He's not even in the top 100, not even close. I saw a list earlier, and it was like top 175 or something, and I still didn't see the guy. That's not a good thing. I don't know what to say about this. I'm shocked. Like, I understand you don't get nearly as much value in these situations, but you can't be like I get it, man. Like, players with contract disputes, they're never going to get traded for their actual value, and maybe it's for the best for them in like the long run. But as of right now, like, your playoff chances take a hit. Everything looks bad. It's not exactly where you want it to be, and because of that, I really don't like this trade for the Red Sox. Like, you had to trade him. I get that, and you move off the money, I guess, which is another cool thing if there is a salary cap implemented at some point. But for right now, I'm gonna have to give it a C minus. I think that's literally the highest I can go, Red Sox fans, and that's being absolutely downright generous.
Yeah, that's very generous.
It's only because of the DH thing. Like, if he's only going to be a DH, that much money's not worth a DH, obviously. And then, most importantly, you're getting out of the contract issues, not contract issues, but the turmoil you had with a player
Plus contract
like
issues,
Devers.
but yes.
Yeah, and if you're looking at the other side, I'd give it an A more likely, but I'm going to give it an A minus because of the contract. Other than that, though, phenomenal deal from the Giants' perspective here. You absolutely fleeced them. This one, you can say they fleeced. So I do intend on saying this one's perfect. But moving into the last thing today, I'm going to give you your little MLB update for the Yankees.
Giancarlo Stanton is back tonight, baby. Big G is back to mashing baseballs on your regular scheduled programming. Clark Schmidt's continuing to shove. He is just playing better and better, coming back from injury right now. 5 scoreless innings, 2 hits, 3 Ks. His season ERA is down to a 3.3. He is proving once again just how good he is, and it kind of is going to be turning into a problem, a good problem for the Yankees, though, next year when Cole comes back. Who's going to not be in the playoff rotation between Clark Schmidt and Luis Gil? Because, like, Fried, Cole, and Rodon, yeah, they're going to be in it, but, like, you're probably going to have to trade one of them and then maybe trade Will Warren. Like, it's a good situation to be in, kind of like their offense is in a great situation right now with just where do you put everyone? So, yeah, they're kind of have a logjam of just a lot of good MLB players, but that's a good situation to be in because that means they can go make trades for very good players, hopefully, or just be able to cut bad contracts like LeMahieu, Stanton, if they can eventually get Stroman, like, bye-bye to you guys soon. That'll open up a lot of money. But, like, between the three of them, that opens up like $70 million. But, yeah, Yankees bats really haven't been able to come alive tonight, unfortunately. Only 4 hits, no runs. But with the way Clark's been pitching, I still think they're going to get the win. But, I mean, yeah, the Yankees have looked pretty good. They've kind of gone through an offensive slump recently. Judge has had his first real slump of the year. His average is down to like 380. But the fact that that's a thing, he slumped, so his average is now at 380, just shows that he is on pace to have like the best hitting the best season for an MLB player since Babe Ruth in the 1920s. Like, are you kidding me? Like, he's having the greatest clean modern era season of like all time right now. It's otherworldly how insane he is. When Ohtani isn't pitching at like an all-star level. Judge is clearly the best player in baseball, which is insane that you need someone to be hitting and pitching at an all-star level for them to even touch Judge, because Judge is just that good. I mean, yeah, a lot of the other guys around him need to step up a little bit. Ben Rice hopefully will. His expected stats are a lot better. Jazz has been playing better. Volpe is very underrated. Austin Wells is playing better. Grisham kind of slowed down, but hopefully picks it up. Bellinger's been playing better. Like, they have a lot of quality guys, but just they kind of need that second guy to really step up next to Judge, so the pressure isn't always on him as much. And the pitching's been phenomenal. Fried's great. Rodon's great. Clark's been great. Will Warren's been better. The relief pitching's had his ups and downs, but Luke Weaver's a beast. So I'm happy with the direction the team's going. I think really all they need to do is add a bullpen arm and a second or third baseman at the deadline to play the other side of Jazz, because you can play him either. I personally, I'd rather get a third baseman and play Jazz at second and basically just have the middle infield, just nothing gets through with how much range Volpe and Jazz have. Like, it's pretty impossible for anything to get through there. But if the better value is at getting a second baseman, you put Jazz at third, fine with that either way. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see the Yankees go. I'm excited. I still think the Yankees are the second best, or the best team, and the AL the second best team in the league. I still think they're better than the Tigers because I trust them, and I get the Astros are right there, but I really don't trust this version of the Astros that well. Like Hunter Brown and Framber Valdez have been great pitching. Yordan Alvarez is obviously an elite hitter. Jeremy Pena stepped up, but Altuve's having a pretty down year, and the relief pitching's not very good. Their starting pitching outside of those two guys aren't that great. Like, this isn't the Astro team of a couple years ago. I mean, like, last year the Tigers 2-0'd them. Like, then their offense couldn't do anything. So, and then the Tigers, I just don't trust their guys. Really, the only person on their team I trust in a playoff series is Tariq Skubal. Like, all the other guys are just young guys. So until they've proven themselves, like the Yankees, who just made the World Series last year, can't put them above. And then Dodgers are best team in league until they don't win the World Series. They're kind of like the Chiefs. They're the best until they're beaten. I mean, they were beaten by the Eagles, but they're still the best in the AFC until beaten, unfortunately.
Yeah. I think for the Mets, like, it's been brutal, I guess, in a sense, but like, this team's so bipolar. Like, we just got swept by the Rays. We're 6-4 in our last 10, though, which means that before that,
second best record in baseball, though.
Yeah, I know. I like it. Only behind our fucking arch nemesis.
No, only behind the Tigers.
Wow. Shit.
Yeah, you have a better record than the Dodgers.
Well, yeah, we're 45-27 though. We're doing pretty good. Obviously, the 3-game losing skid's a little annoying. We play the Braves tomorrow night to start our series against them, who is a very disappointing team. We'll get to a lot of disappointing teams later on down the line. We've given up just 248 runs this year, which is second in the entire league behind only the Texas Rangers right now.
David Peterson's been elite for my fantasy team.
Masterclass, bro. I love it.
I know. That was awesome. He's like
the Nationals game.
My pitching is so good in my dynasty team that he's like my 5th best pitcher.
Oh, damn, dude.
I have.
Do you have Paul Skeens?
No, Tariq Skubal.
Oh, there you go. Even
Framber Valdez, Logan Webb, Shode Imanaga, Clark Schmidt, Peterson, Luis Castillo. Yeah, that's why I'm the second highest scoring team in the league. And it's in a money league, too, so go me.
Sure. Well, aside from the 248 runs or whatever, we also have a plus 80 run differential right now in the league, which is second in the NL behind only the Cubs, and tied for third in the entire MLB behind the Yankees, who are first, Cubs, who are second.
The only team on over 100.
Yeah.
The Cubs are. No, actually, the Cubs. No, actually, the Cubs are first at 105, and then the Yankees are second at 103.
Okay, there it is then. But either way, though, I know we have 80. We're tied third right now with the Detroit Tigers, which is also pretty cool. Yep. Alonso leads in literally every batting category you could possibly freaking think of right now.
In the NL. Or for the Mets, at least. Not the league because of
Judge.
Aaron Judge.
Yeah, you're right.
Wait, want to look at this? One of the Colorado Rockies run differential is right now?
It's like negative 452 or something.
Negative 203.
Negative 203. Oh, negative 453 is like what it's projected to be by the end of the season. That's
Yeah,
how bad it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're on pace for. I want to kind of do the math real quick. It's pretty funny. 1.197 times. They're on pace for 32 wins.
Yeah. 32.
Yeah, they're so bad that even the White Sox being asked this year and no one's talking about it.
Yeah.
Like
Alonso leads though in like every category for us. We're still pretty balanced. Obviously, Niento's injuries kind of set us back a little bit on the bat side of things, but obviously with the pitching we've been getting, it's been enough to get us through this a little bit. Senga is the fucking goat, by the way. 1.47 ERA with a 7-3 record right now.
he ain't Max Fried though.
Clay Holmes is okay. He's been solid, 2.8, like 2.87, I think it is right now, and he's got a 7-3 record. Obviously, it's not the end of the world. And then the one guy I want to shout out because he's absolutely terrible is Stanek, bro. Freaking Stanek, 4.88 right now and a 2-4 record, and I can't with this guy. He's
I
still
will give you though. Shout out to Clay
still
Holmes.
good though when he wants.
Yeah, shout out Clay Holmes. I didn't expect him to be the way he's been.
Yeah, I talked about that.
No, I'm just saying.
2.87 and 7.
Yeah, just wait until you actually need him to play good though. Wait until later in the year when you're playing a really
Lamar
good
Jackson.
Wait until the
He's
playoffs.
Lamar Jackson.
Wait until
Lamar Jackson's Aaron Judge.
Wait until you need an ounce of clutchness ever. Clay Holmes will walk 3 batters and allow a grand slam instantly.
Yeah, there you go.
Because Clay Holmes is a good pitcher when there is zero pressure. That's why it actually makes sense to move him to starter because you don't have as much pressure earlier in the game. Put him on any pressure situation, he crumbles like a cookie.
There you go, crumble cookie. Anyway, we're going to talk about some surprise teams.
Don't ever compare Aaron Judge to Lamar Jackson ever again. You bum. Screw you.
He is that.
I know, but I hate Ravens fans, so boo.
That's fair. So who would you say is your surprise team right now as a good or bad thing? It can be either one.
The San Francisco Giants, honestly. Like, I remember when we did our season predictions, and I had them finishing 4th. I'm like, they're kind of a team to watch out, but I'm like, they're just in such a loaded
3rd, I think, maybe 2nd.
No, you had them 3rd. You had the Diamondbacks 2nd. We both had the Diamondbacks 2nd.
Yeah, because of Burns.
And then I had the Padres 3rd and the Giants 4th. You had them flipped. But I was like, I just didn't know how much I could trust their offense. I'm like, I think they're a sneaky decent team. Adding Willie Adames, Robbie Ray, I think would bounce back. Logan Webb being what he is, Matt Chapman, the guys they have. But I didn't expect them to be this good. They're 10 games over 500 right now. Now they just went and added Rafi Defers. They're a legitimate playoff contender. Like, I think they're
especially
a team that could get
like the Diamondbacks falling apart with the Burns injury, and then obviously, the Braves aren't playing up to expectations.
They're a team that could definitely knock off, like, the Phillies or the Cubs.
I could see them beating us in the playoff series.
I could see them beating any team in the NL but the Dodgers. Right now, I put the Giants at the 5th best team in the league. If I do a quick like ranking of my top 5 teams in the league, go Dodgers 1, Yankees 2, Tigers 3, Mets 4, Giants 5 now. Yes, the Cubs have a better record. Yes, the Phillies have a better record, but just adding Rafi Devers. And when it comes down to it, I think the Giants are a little bit more complete team now because they have great pitching. They have great hitting now with Devers, and they have a much more trusted relief pitching than the Cubs. The Cubs the Cubs relief pitching's been better as of late, but they've had their issues this year.
The Giants have Snell, right? That's who they have?
No, Logan Webb's their ace. But Robbie Ray is kind of
didn't Snell leave?
Yeah, went to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
He's injured. Yeah, Logan Webb has a 2.58 ERA. Robbie Ray is a 2.55 ERA. And then Hayden Birdsong is a 2.79 ERA. He's kind of like, and then Justin Verlander hasn't been great, but they also have
Landon Ralph. Guy, though.
Yeah, like they have their like top 2 and then a bunch of other like decent guys.
Role players.
Yeah, they have like role players that can get it done. But I mean, realistically, if you have two pitchers pitching the way Logan Webb and Robbie Ray is, you can win any series. Because if you can then pitch 4 times, they in a 7-game
All I
series,
heard was Robbie Ray.
and Logan Webb.
I know, but Rob Ray.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But like, if you have two elite pitchers and a good enough offense, you could realistically win any playoff series if they're pitching up to their snuff and you get a couple runs from your offense. You get those 4 times a 7-game series. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yankees
my
could have done that
surprise
with
team-
Cole. Unfortunately, they are choke artists against the Dodgers, and Aaron Boone is a retard. But
Yeah.
that's a story for another day.
Yo, literally, dude. Well, I mean, where do I even begin? The team that I think is the most surprising is the Tigers, although it's not surprising to me because I had the Tigers winning the division. I also had the
Shut
Tigers
up.
being the second best team in the AL, pardon. And they're 46-27 right now. One win more than my New York Mets, who should be first in the league if we can take down the Braves, who are slumping terribly right now. However, speaking of slumping, these Tigers are only 5-5 in their last 10. They've lost their last 2 games, but they do have 351 runs total right now, which is just freaking mid. But at the same time, they've only given up 271 runs this season.
Tariq Skubal.
Yeah, Tariq Skubal is a GOAT. Obviously, like I mentioned with my Mets, plus 80 in the overall run differential right now for this Tigers team. So they're playing pretty damn good with that. They've also been one of the best teams in the entire league right now at home, 24-11. So they've been a really good team. They're playing Pittsburgh next, which is on the 17th, so tomorrow. But I do think that nonetheless, they're still a solid team. I think that they've done everything that they needed to do in the offseason. They're getting better play from the bats this year than they did last year, and that's all they needed. I didn't think they needed to move into the top 5 in bats, but if they could move into the top 15 to top 10, then I knew they were going to be an elite team, and that's exactly right around where they are right now. So I really like what this Tigers team's been doing. I think that they've been doing everything right, and because of that, they're sitting at the top of the AL right now, best team in the league as well. So I guess we'll see what happens with them. But I want you to give me 2 teams right now that are disappointing to you and why you think they're disappointing.
All right, I'll just go one right now. I think for time reasons, maybe we should just do 1 and 1. We're already up to an hour and 10 minutes. So one of the ones we discussed earlier, I'll give them to you, and I'll go with what my first pick would have been: the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah.
I mean, you called it. You said they weren't going to make the playoffs. You were worried about their pitching, and I was worried. I didn't think it'd be this bad, but more so, I thought their offense could make up for it, and they're like bottom 6 or 7 in the league in run score this year. Gunnar Henderson's been decent, but he hasn't been anywhere like last year. What happened to Adley Rutschman? He was the number one pick, number 1 prospect in baseball, and was an absolute beast. And then he through the minors, came up, was a stud at the end of that year, then a stud 2 years ago, and then last year he started out the year great, kind of slowed down, and now I think he's got a below 700 OPS. Yeah, 698 OPS. He's got 1 WAR because, I mean, he's a good defensive catcher. But, yeah, Gunnar Henderson's a good – Jackson Howard, I do want to give a shout-out. He is a lot better this year than he was last year. He's got a 731 OPS, which is a little bit above league average. He's still very young and plenty of time to develop. He showed flashes. One of their best players is, like, an older veteran guy, Ryan O'Hearn. He's 31 years old, but he's been mashing baseball. So he almost has a 900 OPS. He's probably someone you trade at the deadline. Like, you're getting production like him out of a veteran player, and you're still this bad, and it's just surprising. Like, your young guys haven't stepped up. Ryan Mountcastle has a 628 OPS. Gunnar Henderson is a sub 800 OPS. Yes, can steal bags. Yes, he's an elite defender, so he still has a 2.2 WAR. He's still going to be a very good player. Cedric Mullins is another veteran who I think they're two best. So Ryan O'Hearn is the best OPS, and Cedric Mullins has the 3rd best OPS. So the fact that your 2 like veterans like that are playing that well, and you just can't get the young guys to step up. I mean, Heston Kjerstad, or how do you pronounce his name? He has a 566 OPS. He's one of your young guys. He's a negative 1.4 WAR. That is really, really bad. Like, it is pretty hard to get negative WAR. Sometimes you'll see someone if they're struggling, or maybe like a DH guy or some reliever or whatever, like 0.2, 0.5, like 0.1, negative 1.4 is like one of the worst in the league. And he's supposed to be one of your like young guys that one of your top prospects called up. And the fact that he's been one of the worst players in baseball, that's not good. I mean,
No.
Jordan Westbrook, he has been that great. I mean, a 760 OPS is decent, but like it's just surprising to see a lot of these guys just not step up. I mean, having one guy have over an 800 OPS, but well, I guess they have another guy in what's his name? Raymond Laureano, but he's only played I mean, he has 45 games, but like you're as I was getting back to it, their top guys just haven't been performing like their top hitters. I thought they'd be a top 5-7 offense in baseball. Instead, they're a bottom 5-7 offense in baseball, and that's really what's killed them. Like their pitching's been better as of late, and they still have been able to come back from it because their offense is just nowhere to be seen. I mean, tonight they're getting dominated by Ryan or Peepit, Ryan Peepit or Pepiot is four, four, 4 innings, 6 Ks, only 1 on 1. Like, just that offense production for the Orioles has been very disappointing to see.
Yeah, the team that I have is my disappointing team. I'm going to give a quick shout out to the Atlanta Braves. Fuck you. I hate the Braves so much. Fuck you guys. You guys suck anyway.
Ronald Acuna's been cooking for my fantasy team, so that's all right. My 12-0 team.
The team I'd like to talk about is also in the AL. It is the Kansas City Royals, who you had winning the division. They are 34-38. They are absolutely not cooking right now. They're 2-8 in their last 10, and they've lost 6 games in a row. Those are to the Yankees 3 times, and then 3 times to the Oakland Athletics. And on top of that, their 2 wins in their last 10 games are against the White Sox and the Cardinals. Those are the 2 wins. And the White Sox series, funny enough, the White Sox series, they lost 2 of the 3 games. You lost 2 or 3 games to the White Sox, and then you've lost 6 in a row, all at home, by the way, to the Yankees and the Athletics. The Yankees, I can understand, but the Athletics, I can't, especially at home. And the last thing I want to talk about here, the runs scored, 237. The Colorado Rockies have more runs scored this year than the Kansas City Royals. 237 runs do the Royals have, 239 the Rockies have. The only team lower than them right now is 232 in the NL. It's the Pittsburgh Pirates, who are the lowest right now, which have been another historically bad team, as we know with Paul Skeens. He, I'm sure, is very familiar with that unsuccessfulness of the team. They play the Texas Rangers next, who are currently 36-36, so that's going to be a really big series, especially considering what this might mean later on in the year for these 2 teams. And we'll see if they can get out of their slump, but who freaking knows at this point, because they've been playing like complete crap. And I can't expect it to get much better considering they're playing in a gauntlet of a division right now. The Tigers have been really good, and then you got the Guardians and the Twins still in that division. The Guardians are 35-35, and the Twins are 36-35. So at best, you're probably splitting those series with those teams down the stretch. So you really have to win the series against the teams like the White Sox and the Athletics, and unfortunately for them, they just didn't. Their last 4 series, they have all lost or tied, and those are to the Yankees, the Athletics, the White Sox, and the Cardinals. That's just unacceptable, man. That's just very unacceptable. And because of that, I do think that this is a team right now that's slumping really hard. I don't know if they're going to turn it around or if they can turn it around. But Bobby Witt, and God we trust, apparently, because
Bobby Witt's even been like, this is his lowest batting average since the 2023 season. He's got a sub 900 OPS. Like, he's been a very good player. Like, he's still probably been the best shortstop in baseball, but he isn't like MVP caliber, like top 5 player in baseball like he was last year, where he still got the elite defense and a great base running, but he was like a 950, 1,000 OPS guy with batting like 350, and that kind of was carrying that offense. He kind of has, like, the potential of that offense is very good. Like, they got Jack Caglione, they just called up the Pasquatch, Jonathan India, Bobby Witt, Salvador Perez. They have some serious pop in the lineup, some serious potential. It's just not coming together yet.
No. And because of that, they're my disappointing team for this. Anyway, though, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember that Alex's birthday is in 5 days, so you better like and subscribe for that, At least, if nothing else. And other than that, thank you guys so much for watching today's episode. It's been so much fun to just do this and be able to broadcast this live to you guys. I'll be posting this to our YouTube channel here in a little while, so thank you guys so much for tuning in. Alex, thank you for joining me on the Sports Lab podcast, episode number 41. And until next time, I will see you guys later. No, go Mets. Anyway, have a great night, guys, and we'll see you all next time.